Canada yesterday has released their 26-man roster for the upcoming World Cup in just a week's time. And today we are starting our position by position breakdown, starting with the goalkeeping position today. And of course, Canada has called up 3 goalkeepers in Milan Boyan, Dane Sinclair, and James Patonimus. And today we're going to be ranking them 1 through 3, talking about their true quality and experience, what they can bring to the national side at the World Cup, and also what these goalkeepers can gain from this experience with Canada at the World Cup as well. But guys, before we jump into things and take a deep dive in these 3 keepers for Canada, make sure to drop down below, smash that sub button, drop a like, and let me know what you guys think down below in the comments about our 3 keepers, your general thoughts on them, and my takes as well. We're going to jump straight in with number 1, with Milan Boyan. Of course, Milan Boyan is by far our best keeper at the World Cup and a true leader. What Milan Boyan is going to bring for Canada is, of course, leadership, experience. I think he's going to be a true cult hero around the world after this World Cup, which we're going to dive into in just a moment. But Milan Boyan is truly going to bring leadership to this Canadian side. We all know he does it already at the World Cup qualifying, what he brings to us at the Gold Cup, the Nations League, everything. He is a true Canadian. What he's done with us throughout his whole entire career with Canada is, of course, absolutely brilliant. And he has been a true Canadian player, having 67 appearances for his time with the national team. He is an amazing goalkeeper, and what he's done with us through qualifying, his leadership, his experience has been sublime. We all saw it through our YouTube videos on Canada Soccer, where they've been breaking down the World Cup qualifying experience. His leadership is unbelievable that he brings day in and day out for Canada, and you can see it through his club side as well. Having 256 appearances for a side like Red Star Belgrade is absolutely unbelievable, and that's where his experience comes into play. Milan Boyan is an extremely experienced goalkeeper at the age of 35. This year, starting 17 out of 17 matches. He's been absolutely brilliant, and of course, he has 1 goal in his time with Red Star Belgrade as well, scoring a penalty kick as well. But he's been unbelievable for his side at Red Star, and to be able to start for a top side that is consistently a European caliber side in competitions, whether it's Europa League, now Conference League, or the Champions League, Milan Boyan has consistently played at a top level, always a starter, never really disappointing, always at least a 6.5 out of 8 performance, and he never really disappoints ever. And of course, he's had a couple of shockers this year. This year, if you want to look at his true season, he's really had a okay season, a decent season, average year. It hasn't been anything spectacular. Yes, he's had a couple phenomenal games, but he's also had some stinkers as well, but nothing really to be too disappointed about. Milan Boyan is a top professional goalkeeper. He is unbelievable. He's a true leader. And when you want a goalkeeper with experience, he brings it at the top level. He is everything you need from a goalkeeper going into the World Cup or going into any side. And what he will bring is, of course, like I said, leadership, experience, top professionalism, and also, for me, he is going to be a cult hero after this World Cup. Of course, we all know a lot of nations are adopting Canada as their second side. Of course, we're the biggest underdog. We're the team that's risen the most through qualifying. Of course, we were so low in the rankings, and now we're at the World Cup. Everyone loves Canada, and everyone's really adopting us as a second nation, besides, of course, some of our CONCACAF nations as well. But Canada has a true cult hero, Milan Boyan. You always look to a guy like Ochoa, who always gets rumored right now, who's going to have a huge World Cup campaign. Everyone looks to him to turn up and be prime Yashin at the World Cup. For me, I think Milan Boyan is going to be a guy talked about like that after the World Cup, or even during the World Cup after that Belgium match. It's a huge time for him to get on the world stage and truly prove himself. Yes, he's done it at Europa League and Champions League, but this is a different stage. Milan Boyan pulls out some phenomenal saves and stops, and he's going to do it here at the World Cup, and I think he's going to be a player who gets talked about for years after this competition, because he truly has that in him. We all remember that save against Mexico, where we truly won at Azteca, down to what Milan Boyan brought for Canada in that match. But guys, we're going to swiftly move on to our number 1, our second best goalkeeper at this competition, and for me, overall, in Dane Sinclair. Dane Sinclair is a young up-and-coming goalkeeper for Canada. He is extremely young at the age of 25. You may say, is that really extremely young? But for a goalkeeper, that is very young. Goalkeepers don't really blossom until their late 20s or their early 30s. He sits at 6'1". He is truly a brilliant goalkeeper, a left-footed keeper who is very calm and composed in the ball. I thought he was brilliant against Bahrain for Canada. On a terrible pitch, he still made some phenomenal saves, was calm and composed in the ball, playing on the back, he was really great. Last year for Dane Sinclair, he didn't start too many games. He wasn't really given the reins at Minnesota United, only 4 starts and 4 appearances in 2021. But in 2022, this year, he was phenomenal for Minnesota United, who finished 6th, going 32 matches and starting all 32, only allowing 48 goals and coming up with a great save percentage as well this year. He's been brilliant with a save percentage of 71.2 on 153 shots. He's phenomenal. Dane Sinclair is a goalkeeper that excites me. I think this year his quality in the MLS, of course, an MLS All-Star. For me, he could get a move to Europe. I think he is a guy who's going to follow in the footsteps of Matt Turner. Of course, won't go to as big of a club as he doesn't have that passport that'll help him out as much as Matt Turner, or doesn't have the owners out there like the U.S. owners. But Dane Sinclair has the quality, and he's shown it just like Matt Turner did last year for New England Revolution. Dane Sinclair can bring a lot and learn a lot from this World Cup experience. Of course, the number 2 position is really only there if Milan Bojan gets injured at the World Cup, which we all pray that doesn't happen. But Dane Sinclair is still an amazing number 2. Dane Sinclair has a lot to learn from this World Cup. It's a great experience. It's a great opportunity to be around the world's best and to see and adopt and really see what Milan Bojan is going to keep teaching him. And it's a huge atmosphere and a big chance to learn, which is a huge thing that I think he's going to bring. He's also going to bring a lot of competition for Milan Bojan. Of course, he's not going to jump him. He's not going to be a threat to take over number 1. We don't really have that player right now to push Milan Bojan. Bojan's pushing retirement kind of right now, but right now Dane Sinclair is an amazing number 2. It's a great experience and a chance for Dane Sinclair to learn as well. Like I said, his experience right now is now a true starter for Minnesota United and a goalkeeper that can really push to get a move to Europe. This year, like I said, having 32 starts, 32 matches in his time at Minnesota United since 2020, he has had 54 matches for Minnesota. He's a goalkeeper who's had a very good season for Minnesota this year. Of course, was sublime in the playoffs and a great performance against Vancouver Whitecaps, a true reason why they didn't make the playoffs. But this is a great opportunity for Dane Sinclair to back up Milan Bojan, see what the World Cup's about. Of course, he'll be there in 2026 and probably will be starting for Canada unless we get another goalkeeper that rises out of nowhere. Guys, we're going to swiftly move on to number 3 and our last goalkeeper, but definitely a great option in James Patonimus. James Patonimus has, of course, been called up due to Maxime Crépeau's injury, but is definitely still a great number 3 option. Of course, James Patonimus hasn't played an amazing amount of games this year for CF Montreal, but he's still a great number 3 option. Having 11 matches, he has still been great in the MLS for CF Montreal, a great year for CF Montreal that he was a part of. 11 matches, starting 11 matches for the second place team in the MLS in CF Montreal. He truly had a brilliant year, and he gets compared to the likes of Maxime Crépeau and FB Ref, true to his stats. Dane Sinclair, or James Patonimus, is truly an amazing cross stopper with 7.7%, which puts him in the 85th percentile among goalkeepers, and actions outside the penalty area, he sits in the 89th percentile as well. He is phenomenal at also keeping clean sheets, and that has been due to Montreal's defense as well, but he is brilliant with a 70.3 save percentage. At the age of 25, James Patonimus is still very young at the age of Dane Sinclair as well. And James Patonimus, of course, comes in as the number 3 goalkeeper. And when you have a number 3 goalkeeper at the World Cup, or even for your club side, you're not relied on to push the starter. You're not relied on to really expect to start or anything like that. James Patonimus is coming with a role of making sure Milan Bojan has everything he needs, make sure Milan Bojan is ready for the match, being mentally ready, being mentally tough. James Patonimus is there to really build on the goalkeeping union, where he is helping the number 1. He is there for the number 1, where you can always see us from Cycling GK. Ben Foster talks about this a lot, as number 3 is really there just to be friends with number 1, to help him out, to be there for the journey, and to be camaraderie. And I think James Patonimus is an amazing number 3 for this role. I think he's going to suit it very well. Of course, he's going to offer a little bit of competition. He's not going to expect to start or play at all. Of course, will Dane Sinclair, but James Patonimus is there to push Milan Bojan, to give him his best, to help him in all situations, to really be able to rely on James Patonimus if Milan Bojan needs anything, if he needs help, anything like that. That is what the number 3 is there for in the World Cup situation. He's never going to be playing, but he has to just be amazing with the atmosphere and be able to help out in big situations as well. What he can learn is a lot. James Patonimus, like I said, is a very young goalkeeper. Had a great opportunity with a great CF Montreal side this year. At the age of 25, the ceiling is extremely high for a goalkeeper. Like I said, you don't hit your heights until your late 20s, early 30s, and goalkeeping careers can go until your late 30s as well, or mid 30s. So he still has a great career ahead of him. James Patonimus can learn a lot from this World Cup. It's a great learning experience to be around the national side. Of course, he's probably going to be there for the Gold Cup or the Nations League, and he'll probably definitely be there for the World Cup as well. It's an amazing opportunity for James Patonimus, and I think he's going to take it. And he's going to learn from this experience moving on in the future. But guys, that's what I think for my goalkeepers breakdown for the Canadian men's national team. Moving on, tomorrow we'll have the center backs, and the next day we'll be moving on to the full backs. And let me know what you guys think down below in the comments on my goalkeeping breakdown. And I'd love to see what you guys' thoughts down below in the comments. Hit that sub button, drop a like, and I'll see you guys for the next one. Peace.